Today I want to talk about XMalloc and handling memory allocation errors. Hey, welcome back everybody. Today I want to talk about memory errors, or basically the errors that come back from your memory allocator. I've got a bunch of ideas I want to talk about relating to memory allocators in the future. Be sure to let me know down in the comments if that's a topic that you want to hear more about. Also, a big thanks to all of you who support this channel with likes and by subscribing and by contributing through Patreon, where, just in case you're new, that's where you can get access to all the source code for my videos and access to my monthly virtual office hour. I definitely couldn't do what I do without you, so thanks for all the help. So today's video is inspired by a question that I get off and on, and that is, what is XMalloc? Because when starting out with C and C++, people usually come across malloc and its siblings calloc, realloc, and of course free. These are your standard memory allocation functions in C. And if you're thinking, well, I use C++ and I've never seen malloc, don't worry. If you've used new and delete, well, you're probably calling malloc, it's just under the hood. So we're all familiar with malloc, but then some of you are going to be wandering along looking at some open source project or checking out some library, and you're going to come across XMalloc. Or maybe you get some error message complaining about an XMalloc failure and you're getting confused. And yes, XMalloc is a thing, but it's a little tricky because it's not a standard thing. For example, if I come down here and I type in man XMalloc, well, I'm not finding anything. I don't see any results. And so even though I haven't yet really told you what it is, we already have a drawback, right? XMalloc is common enough. It does show up in libraries here and there, and people sometimes write their own version of it. I have myself at times, and every time I've seen XMalloc, it's more or less the same. So what is it? Well, let's start with malloc. So malloc is going to look, if we look at malloc, it's going to look something like this right here. It takes a size, basically the number of bytes of memory that I need, and then it's going to return a pointer to a block of memory that is at least that size, that is, assuming it's successful. Now, if it's not successful, malloc is going to return null, and that's how we know if something went wrong. But the thing is that malloc almost never fails. It's typically only going to fail if you try to allocate a ton of memory, which we looked at in a previous video, so check that out if you want to see more about that. But usually that's the consequence of a program bug, an unusually large input, or something really strange going on in your system. But the point is, it's really rare for most programs. So for good or ill, let's get out of this. For good or ill, usually we see, or often we see code that looks like this. And this includes some of my own example code. Now, I usually do this because it's a demo and I want to keep things readable. But the point is that if malloc were to fail in this code, you can see I'm calling it twice here to allocate integers. If it were to fail, then one of these pointers would be null. And then down here, when I actually try to write to that memory, I'm probably going to segfault. Now, I could have you take my word for it, but let's not do that. Let's actually run it so we can compile it and run it. And so you can see that, okay, you can see that this works the way it should work, but I want to see what happens when it fails. So let's just come up here and write our own malloc function. Now, some of you may not realize that you can do this, but I can just make a function that looks just like malloc, and this will replace the system's version of malloc, okay? And let's just say return null, okay? Not a very useful allocator, but it is useful for showing us what happens if malloc returns null, because that's all this malloc is going to do. Now note that if I didn't want to actually add code to my existing project, I could test this using a shim. If you're not familiar with shims, I have another video you should check out, definitely. I'll put a link down in the description, but a shim would allow us to inject errors without actually changing our program code. So that's nice. But for today, this is going to work to show us what happens when our allocator fails. And if we compile it and we run it, you can now see that we do in fact segfault. So that's a relief, I guess. I mean, it's never good to see a segfault, but it's good that the universe makes sense. Now, the problem here in my code is that I'm not ever checking my return values, right? I'm just assuming that malloc is going to succeed. So if it fails, we're just basically releasing this null pointer into our code somewhere, and we're almost always going to get some really ugly crashes. No nice error messages, no cleaning up, no saving files. We just segfault and crash. And that's not very satisfying. It's definitely not good. I mean, it's okay for little demos, but if this were production software, this wouldn't be good. Now, one straightforward solution we could do is just to add an if statement here after each of these. Say if P1 is null, then let's print out an error saying error memory exhausted, something like this. And then let's just exit with exit failure. Okay, and then let's do the same thing down here with P2. Okay, so now we're checking these error messages, and now if we come down and compile it, now if I run it, you can see now I do get a clean error message. I actually get to handle these errors. And so this is nice, but it does make my code a little messier. I mean, for this really simple program, I've just added a bunch of extra code. It's also pretty repetitive. And so we could refactor things. Let's come up here and we could make a handler function, something like error and exit. And we could just take this code from here and move it up in here. And then we could just come down and call error and exit in both of our functions here. So that refactored version's a little cleaner, but it's still going to be pretty annoying if I do this throughout my entire program. I mean, in this case, it's not a big deal because it's a tiny program with only 2 malloc calls. But if I had a lot of code with a lot of memory allocations, this could get pretty annoying, should feel pretty tedious. And it's also super easy to forget as I'm going along, to forget to add one of these if statements every single time. So that's where XMalloc comes in. Now, like I said before, XMalloc is not a standard function and it can be a bit controversial. Some people love it, others think it's the worst thing ever. I'm gonna leave that up to you. Be sure to let me know down in the comments, I'm sure you will anyway, how you feel about XMalloc. But the main idea with XMalloc is that it's a version of malloc that never returns null. Okay, so the assumption is, and it's a pretty good assumption, is that malloc returning null is a fatal error, super rare, but it's a fatal error, and your program is probably not going to be able to keep working after that. And so because the program has basically hit a fatal error, what's the point of returning? Let's just exit the program. Now, I've seen a few different versions of XMalloc show up in different projects. The simplest is going to look something like this. Let's just make something that's going to look just like malloc. We're going to call it XMalloc. And then here, what we're going to do here is just make a pointer, a temporary result pointer that's going to, let's call malloc. And that's the temporary result is going to store the result from malloc. And then we're going to return that result eventually. But before we do, we're just going to come in here and say, if result is null, then let's call error and exit. And I'm going to move this up here. And of course, I don't have to call error and exit. I could put whatever I want in here. But this is a really simple version of XMalloc, and I've seen something like this show up in a bunch of different projects, a bunch of different libraries. And now, once we have this, we can come down here, convert all of our malloc calls to XMalloc, and we can just remove the if statements because we no longer have to check to see what XMalloc returns because we know that it's never going to return null. It's only going to return if it's successful. Now, this is nice because my code is now cleaner, and if I ever run into a memory issue, at least I know my code will fail in a consistent way, and I don't have to remember to check my returns from malloc each time. But like I said, it's a little controversial, so what's the downside? Well, the most common complaint that I've heard over the years is that XMalloc, at least in this form, doesn't give you much flexibility. It doesn't let you actually do much recovery. It does avoid the case where a null pointer just gets shot back floating randomly around your code and we'll just see what happens, but it does just exit. And so you don't have an opportunity to do much cleanup. Now, often we don't care, but say I'm writing a word processor or an image editor. If this happens, I probably want to at least try to save the current document before I crash. So here we have a few different options. Some implementations that I've seen allow the user to specify an error handler function where I just have this error and exit. You could allow someone to supply you a function, either through an extern function pointer or through a separate function where I register a callback and say, hey, call this error handler when this error happens. And then XMalloc will automatically call that function anytime that it fails. So this is basically the same as what I'm doing here, but it just gives you the ability to customize a few things. So that gives you a little more flexibility. I could also add another argument to XMalloc over here. I could actually add a function pointer out here. I'm not going to do that today because it's going to make this a little messy, but I could add a function pointer as a separate argument to XMalloc so that each call to XMalloc could specify its own cleanup function. That's a little more flexible, but it's also a little messier, especially if most of the time you just want to exit. And adding more arguments to XMalloc basically makes XMalloc no longer just a drop-in replacement for malloc. And so for some people, that might also be a drawback. Now, one more thing you want to keep in mind about this error handler function is you have to be really careful here because when it's called, we have to assume that we can't get any new memory. That means we're basically assuming that malloc is broken. We can't actually get anything from malloc. So whatever cleanup code we put in here better not need to allocate memory. If it does, then, well, we're back to where we started with an ugly seg fault. So we need to be really careful about what we put into our cleanup code. But I hope that helps you in your next project. Like this video if it was helpful. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Check us out on Patreon, Thinkific. And until next week, I will see you later.